The call came in late one evening. A woman reporting that she had locked herself out of her house. Nothing urgent, just a routine response in case the fire department needed to force entry. It should have been simple. But the moment the house came into view, unease settled deep in my gut. In the upstairs window, a single candle burned, its flame swaying against the curtain. The glow cast shifting shadows across the glass, distorting the figures around it. Small religious statues, their faces frozen in silent prayer. The light in that room was on, stark against the surrounding darkness of the house. There was no reason for it to bother me, but something about the scene felt wrong. The woman stood on the front porch, arms crossed, her face calm despite her predicament. She explained that she had stepped out to grab groceries from the car, only to have the door latch behind her. "Is anyone else inside?" I asked. She hesitated, just for a moment. Then, with quite certainty, she said, "My mother." Before I could respond, she continued, "She's been gone 6 years," she added, her tone very matter-of-fact, "but she's still here with me." She gestured toward the upstairs window, the one with the candle. "That's her room. She likes to let me know she's around. Turns lights on and off, opens and closes doors, even turns the bathroom faucet on. I think she just wants to make sure I'm okay." She spoke casually, as if describing a living person's habits, instead of something that shouldn't be possible. A tight knot of unease coiled in my stomach, but I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. A quick check of the house's perimeter revealed an unlocked kitchen window. Since she had never actually left the property and knew no one else was inside, I got permission to enter. As I climbed through, the house was utterly silent. Then click. The stairway and upstairs hallway lights shut off. The darkness was immediate, pressing, as if the house itself had exhaled and was waiting for something to respond. I could feel the weight of it in my chest. Shaking it off, I quickly moved to the rear sliding door, unlocking it to let her inside. I told her what had happened, expecting some reaction. She only chuckled. "Oh, that's just Mom saying hello." The certainty in her voice made my skin prickle. I told her I believed her, but insisted on checking the house. No way I was leaving without making sure no one else was inside. I radioed for backup, and within minutes my partner arrived. The first thing he noticed, the burning candle in the upstairs window. We moved cautiously through the house, clearing it room by room. We reached the room with the candle. We both stopped short. The candle was out. There was no smoke, no lingering ember, no sign it had ever been burning, just cold, undisturbed wax. We checked the windows, locked, no vents were blowing air. The room was utterly still, yet the flame had been extinguished, as if someone had walked up and snuffed it out with their fingers. We exchanged a glance, neither of us willing to voice what we both thinking. Then, click. The hallway lights shut off behind us. The air in the room felt heavier, charged. We didn't wait. Moving quickly, we descended the stairs. She was waiting for us at the bottom, smiling like a mother watching two children finally realize the world isn't as simple as they thought. We suggested she consider using a battery-operated candle instead. She laughed. Mom wouldn't like that. She never did take our advice. To this day, whenever I drive by that house at night, the same candle burns in the window, unwavering, and every now and then I stop to check in on her and on whatever lingers inside. I am a police officer working on an emergency response team in a busy London borough. That night, we took a call reporting a suspected domestic disturbance in a block of flats. The informant, a shaken and breathless woman, claimed she could hear screaming and violent thuds coming from the flat directly above hers. When my colleague and I arrived, the building was eerily silent, the kind of silence that feels unnatural, like something had pressed the world on mute. We made our way up, the stairwell dimly lit by flickering bulbs that buzzed faintly overhead. There was no sound from the flat in question. No shouts, no sobs, no crashes, just stillness. We knocked and received no answer. So we knocked again, harder this time. We still received no answer. My colleague decided to go downstairs to speak directly to the informant while I remained by the door. I knocked once more, and after a long pause, the door creaked open. An elderly woman stood there, blinking in the dim hallway light, her face pale and drawn. She was visibly alarmed to see me and looked as though she had been roused from a deep sleep. "Is everything all right, madam?" I asked. "We've had a phone call about a disturbance coming from this flat. Is there anyone else here with you?" She frowned, eyes darting behind me as if expecting to see someone else. "I live alone," she murmured, voice hoarse from sleep. "I haven't heard anything. Would you mind if I came in, just to be sure everything is in order?" She hesitated for the briefest moment before stepping aside, allowing me entry. The air inside was thick with a stale, cloying scent, the kind that lingers in a place untouched for too long. The flat was small, a two-bedroom with sparse furniture and outdated wallpaper curling at the edges. It was utterly still. The only sources of light were a dim glow of a hallway and a small bedside lamp casting a trembling shadow across the walls. I moved carefully, checking each room. Nothing seemed out of place, no signs of struggle, no broken furniture, no evidence of another presence, and yet an unshakable unease crept over me, the feeling of being watched prickling at the back of my neck. As I approached the final door leading to the living room, my radio crackled to life. My colleague's voice came through, tight with urgency. "Are you all right? I'm on my way up." Something in his tone set my nerves on edge. "Yeah, everything's fine. Why?" He responded, "Because I'm with the informant, and we can still hear it. The screaming, the banging, it's coming from that flat." A slow, creeping dread coiled in my stomach. I had heard nothing, not a whisper, not a sound. Hand on my radio, I pushed the living room door open. A wave of cold air hit me like a wall. My breath misted instantly. Hanging in the frigid darkness, the room was empty. No windows, no signs of life, just a suffocating, unnatural chill. My pulse hammered as I turned in place, scanning every shadow, every darkened corner. The silence pressed in, thick and absolute. "Can you hear me walking?" I asked through the radio, my voice tight. "Yeah, I hear you moving around," my colleague responded. "But the screaming stopped the moment you opened the door." The air grew heavier, suffocating, as though the very walls were holding its breath. I stepped back, the overwhelming sense of unseen eyes burning into my back. I wasted no time making my way to the door, my every instinct screaming at me to leave. The elderly woman stood in the hallway, watching me with an expression I couldn't quite place, something between concern and knowing. I mumbled an apology for disturbing her and left without looking back. My colleague and I descended the stairs in uneasy silence, the informant staring at us with wide, terrified eyes. "You heard it, didn't you?" she whispered. "Tell me you heard it." Neither of us answered, because I hadn't. But something had been there, something unseen, something waiting, and I had walked right into it. There's something about a police officer telling a story that makes it feel more believable to me. Maybe it's the authority, the experience, or just the way they recount events. I'm not sure if that's always the case, but these two stories were chilling in their own right. The first story stood out to me because I had been in a situation where the light suddenly shut off, leaving me frozen in place, waiting for something to happen, only for nothing to happen. That moment of eerie anticipation is something you cannot describe, and it's very unsettling. The second story, though, is the scarier of the two. I can't imagine what it's like to clear a small apartment alone when you know there's a possibility of somebody being inside. The closest experience I've had to this was when I was working as a security guard and I had to clear an empty warehouse in the middle of the night. The reason why that wasn't as bad is I knew no one was inside. Well, I knew no one should be inside, I should say. But that was very unnerving as well. But that was a giant warehouse compared to an itty-bitty tight space of an apartment. I'm trying this format out with multiple stories in one video. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it. If you like this video or just want to help me get some much needed exposure on YouTube and Rumble, please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd really appreciate your support so you never miss another upload. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there.